My girlfriend of 8 years told me she had only been with one other person in the past, but I just found out her body count is 43 and she's been cheating on me our whole relationship. My girlfriend, 32F, and I, 33M, have been together for 8 years. Honestly, I thought things had never been more perfect. When we got together, she said she'd only been with one other person, sexually. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but just don't lie to me about it. I don't care how many people you've been with, just be honest with me. Anyway, she recently let it slip during a drinking game at our friend's place that her body count was 43. I didn't want to start a fight in front of our friends, but I was totally taken aback and felt super embarrassed. This particular drinking game required the couple to guess each other's answer, so I had to guess what she was going to say, and I was sure she was going to say 2. But then it comes out and she says 43. The look on my face must have said it all. I didn't want to make a scene there because we had both been drinking, but when I brought it up the next day, she tried to tell me that I never told her that I had only ever been with one person. And then we got into a fight about that. She said that it was unfair of me to try to peg her as some innocent angel. On top of that, she seemed to have a lot more guy friends than girl friends. And maybe this was my insecurities coming out, but it always just seemed like she was more than friends with them. I feel like sometimes she'd very much flirt with them in front of me, but then play it off like the fact that I had mentioned anything at all to her was disgusting because she said they're like my brothers. I tried to let this go for the longest time. Recently, however, there's been some incidents that have made me question things more deeply. For instance, a few months ago, she started getting very secretive with her phone, something she had never done before. She'd get these late-night texts and would flip her phone away real quick whenever I was around. I tried to brush off my worries, telling myself I was just being paranoid and insecure. But if I ever brought it up, she'd hit me with the gaslighting, calling me a brat and saying I was being the overbearing and controlling boyfriend. She'd say, "I see these guys like my brothers. I've known them since I was a kid. It's gross that you'd even think that." Last week, a close friend of mine told me he saw her at a cafe with one of her guy friends, and their vibes seemed way more than just friendly. He said she was grabbing his leg and they were practically sitting on top of each other. That really threw me for a loop because it confirmed some of my worst fears. When I confronted her about it, she brushed it off, saying they were just catching up and there was nothing more to it. Again, gaslighting me. This whole thing has left me feeling all kinds of confused and insecure. I've always trusted her and believed in our relationship, but now I can't help but wonder if there's something more going on. I don't want to jump to conclusions or throw out accusations without proof, but I also can't ignore these feelings of doubt and betrayal. But then again, she just makes me feel like I'm the crazy one. Am I being dramatic here? Am I the problem? We've talked about her friendships with guys multiple times, and each time she reassures me that they're just friends. Yet the secrecy and the way she interacts with some of them make it hard for me to fully buy into that. It's getting tougher and tougher to square the person I thought she was with these recent behaviors. And now this cafe incident. I feel like my friend wouldn't lie to me about something like this either. I trust his judgment. I'm at a crossroads, unsure of what to do next. Do I keep trusting her and risk getting hurt, or do I take a stand and demand more transparency and boundaries? The thought of losing her is painful, yeah, I know. Hard to believe at this point, but so is the thought of staying in a relationship where I can't shake this feeling of betrayal. I need to figure out how to deal with these issues without pushing her away or messing up our relationship for good. What do you think? Is she cheating on me? Am I the crazy one? Update 1, hey, I'm back. A couple months ago, I came on here wondering if my girlfriend was cheating on me. I'm just here to fill you in. After posting that story, a lot of you said that she was and that I needed to man up, confront her, and break up with her. Well, I did, but let me get to that part. And then there were some of you who were wondering why I was sticking around and what I was holding on to. So here's a little backstory. So yeah, I met my girlfriend Dasher at a mutual friend's party. It was one of those moments where everything just clicked right away. We bonded over our shared love for indie music and late-night philosophical discussions. We had both majored in philosophy, but we went to different schools. She was witty, charming, and had this infectious laugh that could light up any room. I was drawn to her kindness and the way she made everyone around her feel special. She was super fun and chill. We traveled together, supported each other through job changes, and even adopted a dog together. Life honestly felt perfect. She was incredibly fun and adventurous, always down for spontaneous road trips or hiking trips. She was totally the outdoorsy type. We backpacked through Europe, camped under the stars in national parks, we tried to check them off this bucket list of ours, and even went scuba diving in the Caribbean. She had this amazing ability to turn any boring day into an exciting adventure. Her zest for life was contagious, and being with her made me feel like we could conquer anything together. Okay, now the update. So I went through her iPad, which was connected to her phone. All her iMessages and everything on her cloud would show up on this tablet. She usually has her phone attached to her hip, so I had a rare shot, but I knew that would never happen. So I took my chances with the iPad, and surprisingly, I got in. I'm not sure if she forgot they were linked or if she was just clueless, but hey, you win some, you lose some. I started scrolling through her photos and found videos and pictures of her naked and playing with herself. Early in our relationship, she'd send me pictures like this, so it wasn't totally weird for her. But I hadn't gotten any of these new ones. They were all recent, yet they looked a lot like the ones she used to send me. Quickly, I airdropped them to my phone to make sure I had proof if she was actually cheating. At this point, I knew she was, I just didn't want to fully admit it. Believe it or not, I did love her. I mean, I do in some messed up way. Or maybe just loved the person I thought she was. The person that never existed. Despite everything, I still care deeply for her. We've shared so much together. She was there when my dad passed away, and I've always pictured a future with her. When I thought about the coming years, I always saw it with her. When I checked the info on the pictures, I noticed a few of them were taken on Snapchat. This made me even more suspicious because we don't message each other on Snapchat. Honestly, I didn't even know she had Snapchat. While I had the time, I looked through her messages but didn't find anything that stood out. But then I checked her Snapchat, and she had a bunch of guys on there that she had been recently messaging, and some that she had a big streak going with. All of these names looked familiar, so I knew she was in daily communication with these guys. I opened up the conversations, and there were saved videos back and forth. I saved all these messages where she went on and on about what she did, what she planned to do, and how great everything was going, blah, blah, blah. I screenshotted all the sketchy messages and the guys she was snapping with. I didn't even care if they got a notification about it. Screw them. After going through everything, I put her phone back and started thinking about my next move. I really wanted to call her right then and just leave. I wanted to pack up all her stuff and toss it out the front door onto the lawn. But after thinking it over, I decided not to say anything yet because I didn't want to do something I'd regret later. I really need to work on my self-control. I wanted to get my revenge and make it count. I'll be back with an update as soon as I figure out my plan. Don't worry. Update 2, hey everyone, I'm back with another update. After my last post, I took some time to really think about how to deal with this mess. I was torn between confronting her calmly or going for something more extreme. In the end, I decided the best way to handle it was to expose her lies in front of everyone she'd been deceiving, including the guys she cheated with and all our friends. While pretending everything was cool between us, I managed to convince her we should host a games night at our place with a bunch of our friends, including some of the guys she was messaging on Snapchat who she claimed were just like brothers. It seemed like the perfect chance to reveal everything. I thought it would be a dramatic but fitting way to end this mess. I spent the week before the games night getting ready. I printed out the screenshots of her messages and saved videos, organizing them into a folder on my laptop. I also backed everything up on a USB drive just to be safe. I wanted to make sure I had all the evidence ready when it was time. On the day of the games night, I tried to act as normal as possible. I didn't want to tip her off. I helped Asha get the snacks and drinks ready, and we set up the living room for our guests. As everyone started showing up, I could feel my heart pounding, but I knew I had to keep my cool. Honestly, I was pretty excited. The night kicked off well. We were playing some board games, and everyone was cracking up and having a blast. I saw her flirting with the guys she had been texting and smiled because I knew what was coming next. I waited until everyone was settled and fully into the game before I made my move. I stood up and said, "Hey guys, can I have your attention for a sec? I've got something important to share." Everyone looked at me a bit confused, but they quieted down. Asha looked puzzled but didn't seem too worried yet. I took a deep breath and continued, "For our next game, it's time to play Truth or Drink." I pulled out my laptop and hooked it up to the TV. I opened the folder with the evidence and started showing the screenshots and videos. The room went totally silent as everyone took in what they were seeing. Asha's face turned white and she tried to grab the laptop, but I moved it away. "These are messages and videos Asha has been sending to other guys, some of whom are right here in this room," I said, looking directly at a few of her closest male friends. "I think you all deserve to know the truth." The room erupted into chaos. Some of the guys were in shock, others were pissed off. One of her friends, who had been her confidant, looked completely betrayed. Asha tried to defend herself, shouting that I was invading her privacy and that this was a huge overreaction. But the evidence was undeniable and it had hit her right in the face. Asha broke down in tears, but I didn't feel any sympathy at that moment. I just felt relief that the truth was finally out. After the initial shock wore off, people started leaving, clearly uncomfortable with the situation. Some of them told me they supported me, while others just left without saying anything. Sha and I were left alone in the apartment. She tried to talk to me to explain herself, but I couldn't listen anymore. I was totally done. I told her to pack her stuff and get out. In the days that followed, she confessed to cheating on me the entire time we were together. She'd been talking to some of these guys even before we started dating. She admitted to being a serial cheater. I blocked her on all social media and changed the locks on the house. It's been rough, but I'm starting to feel like I can move on. The support from some of our mutual friends has been a big help, and I'm focusing on rebuilding my life without her and looking ahead with some hope. Apparently, a lot of our mutual friends have turned their back on her. The guys who had been cozying up to her have dropped her like a hot potato. Apparently, they all thought they were the only ones, aside from me, of course. They each thought they were the special one that was causing her to mess up her relationship, the apple of her eye. Not only that, but I heard from a friend that her job took a hit too. Rumors of her cheating and shady behavior spread like wildfire through her office. I guess there were some wives and partners calling in and causing a lot of drama with the men at work because of their thing with Asha. I guess she was pretty busy messing around with the guys in the office too. Her credibility and integrity came into question, messing up her career prospects and chances for advancement. I heard she's on a leave of absence right now. To anyone going through something similar, trust your gut and don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. It's tough, but you deserve honesty and respect in a relationship. Always. Thanks to everyone here who gave me advice and support. It really helped me get through this. Hopefully you don't hear from me ever again. Over and out. Now on to the next story, Story 2. My name's Cole and I was married to my ex-wife, June, for 2 years. From the moment I first met June, I could tell she was a go-getter, always excelling at whatever she did. We met at work as new hires, and within months she got a promotion thanks to her hard work and dedication. About a year later, she left our company for a better offer, though there were whispers that she'd had a falling out with one of our bosses. But since June and I were tight, I never bought into the gossip after she left. After June moved on from our company, we kept in touch, and even though I thought she was way out of my league, I still had a thing for her. One thing that drew me to her was her smarts. She had an answer for everything, even the dumbest questions, and she was one of the best we had. About a year after June jumped to a better company, we got closer, almost like best friends. We were so close that she'd tell me everything going on in her life, at work, the guys hitting on her, you name it. I'd do the same, but I kept my personal stuff to myself. Unlike me, June was an open book, sharing her childhood stories with anyone, even if she didn't know them well. As we grew closer, I fell for her, and when I finally told her how I felt, she said she liked me too. We started dating and got hitched a year later. Being married to June was great, and even though we had our fair share of fights and arguments, there was nothing we couldn't work through. Apart from our disagreements, everything else was solid with us. We took care of each other, supported one another, and pushed each other to be the best we could be. On my end, I was the one paying for everything: rent, groceries, gas, and all the bills, though sometimes June would chip in a bit. This setup was because she was focused on a business idea, and we agreed she'd pour any money she made into it for a few months while I handled everything else. But then, after 13 months of marriage, I got laid off out of nowhere. It totally threw our life into chaos. Suddenly, I couldn't cover the rent or buy groceries or handle the bills like I used to because my savings were tiny, and once they ran out, I had to lean on June to keep our home going until I found another job. I sent out tons of job applications, but for months, I heard nothing back. I even tried some low-paying hourly jobs for a week, but it felt totally wrong, and the pay was so bad that even working 50 hours a week for a month wouldn't come close to what I used to make. So I quit and doubled down on finding a job that suited me. While I was out of work, I started noticing a big shift in June's attitude. She stopped talking to me respectfully, and at the slightest thing, she'd throw it in my face that she was the one keeping the house running. It stung every time she said it. The first time we fought because I hadn't made dinner on time, she snapped at me out of frustration, and I thought it was just because she was stressed and tired. I even said sorry to keep the peace, but after that, she brought it up every single day. No matter what I did, she'd find a way to jab at me for being unemployed and remind me that she was the one paying all the bills. And it wasn't just the verbal jabs. Our intimacy dropped off too, and she wouldn't even let me touch her. Every time I tried to get close, she'd shoot me down or say she needed to hit the sack early for work the next day. Since I wasn't working, I ended up taking on all the chores: cleaning, cooking, laundry, and all the stuff we used to do together. I'll be honest, It really hurt when she treated me like that, and even after I landed a job, things didn't go back to the way they were between us. Eventually, I managed to find a job. The pay wasn't as good as my old gig, but it was better than sitting around doing nothing. With my new job, I got my life back on track, but our relationship just kept going downhill from there. After I shared the news about my new job, she started being nicer and apologized for all the harsh words she'd thrown at me. She said she didn't mean to be rude. She was just trying to push me to not get too comfy being jobless. Even though she said all that, I still loved her and hoped we could patch things up. I forgave her for the nasty things she said and how she treated me. On her side, I noticed a few improvements, but it wasn't like it used to be, and I thought things would get back to normal eventually, but I was wrong. Even with my new job, June and I were still distant. She only let me touch her when she was in a good mood, and she got more wrapped up in work and hardly had any time for me. It got to the point where I was just so fed up with our marriage, and I tried my best to talk to her, but she ignored everything I said. One day, I needed to borrow her laptop for something quick since I'd left mine at the office, and as soon as I booted it up, I got a notification from her bank. I knew I shouldn't have snooped on her earnings since we weren't close anymore, but I was curious about how much she made. She'd just gotten a promotion and never told me how much she was earning, and to my shock, when I checked, it was a lot. So much that I wondered how it was possible, and as I did some further investigation to see how much extra it was from her previous salary, I stumbled upon something that revealed a bitter truth. In the past few months, June's transactions showed she had been making weird purchases, like paying for rooms at a fancy five-star hotel, and the moment I saw that, I knew something was off. Out of instinct, I printed out copies of these odd expenses, and I cleared every trace that I had touched her laptop. I couldn't continue with what I wanted to do because I couldn't stop thinking. The next day, when June woke up, she told me she would be going out of town for a 2-day business meeting and coming home on Monday morning. I knew everything was wrong with her business meeting because she barely worked on weekends, so I acted like everything was fine and kissed her goodbye. Shortly after she left, I followed her, and she went to the same hotel from her transactions. When she arrived, a man I recognized as her boss from work welcomed her. They kissed and went into the hotel together. Luckily, I had my phone camera ready and took clear shots of them kissing outside June's car and him wrapping his hand around her waist as they walked into the hotel. Saying I was heartbroken is just an understatement. First, I couldn't believe that June was cheating on me with her boss, and while I was sulking in my broken state, everything made sense. The reason she earned so much monthly and got 3 promotions in the space of a year was because she was doing her boss. Yet, she called herself my wife. Aside from being heartbroken, I was so mad, and I wanted to pay her back for hurting me that way, so as soon as I got home, I did some digging and sent everything I gathered to her company, and I waited for the volcano to erupt. On Monday morning, she returned as she told me, but she met her bags out on the porch. I told her straight up that I knew she was cheating on me, and our marriage was done. Instead of begging like I thought she would, she grabbed her stuff, mumbled something I couldn't catch, and drove off. At that time, I'm guessing her job hadn't contacted her yet, because when she got fired, she called me and bawled over the phone like a kid who'd lost her favorite toy. Not to sound harsh, but I actually enjoyed hearing her cry, and I kind of wished she had it even worse. After she found out she'd lost her job and her affair with her sugar daddy was public, she tried to come back to me, but it was way too late. I got in touch with a divorce lawyer, and soon after we got divorced, and I moved on with my life. As for her boss, the last I heard, he was into money laundering. He was also the one who bumped up June's salary, and it turned out June wasn't his only sugar baby. He had a few others at the company. Now that I think about it, I can't help but believe that June was having an affair with one of our bosses at our old company, which is why she got sacked. She hurt me so badly, and I'm even scared to fall in love again. After we divorced, I haven't seen her anymore, and I hope I don't. She deserves all the misery in the world, and I hope she gets plenty of it.